I love a good Tier 7 campaign, and Enterprise, well, she's one of the most famous ships to have ever shipped, and now she's in Legends. I'm not going to talk a lot about stats in this one since carriers have been going through some serious growing pains here lately, but we can all definitely appreciate a decent premium carrier for 2,500 doubloons with this campaign. In a nutshell, it's an American Lexington-class carrier, but AP bombs, long-range squadrons, and pretty large squadrons, 9 per flight. I went with a typical CV build, air groups mod in slot 2, and in slot 4, flight control mod to increase plane speed. Is this a good build? I don't know. I'm not a carrier player, but in the matches I played, it seemed to work out for me. Ernest King is at the helm, you don't really have another choice, and I used Starscream and Iona. If you're free to play, the inspirations for CVs really aren't that impressive. Maybe you could do Jerzy Swirsky for stealth, Conrad Helfrich maybe to buff AA and your speed. The only thing for the build that I would point out is just to make sure you're not using anything to buff HE bombers or fire chance for HE bombs because, well, you don't have them. Alright, a month ago, CVs were massively reworked. And I'll say buffed, really. But someone in my comment section called it on the CV rework video. They said Wargaming is going to buff CVs massively and then sell Enterprise to Americans on the 4th of July, our Independence Day. And this guy was spot on. All I can say on the matter is I hope Wargaming got enough testing done on CVs so that the Enterprise doesn't need a lot of tweaks once the masses have her in their ports. That's all I would say. That would be very short-sighted if this ship is going to need a lot of tweaking. For the most part, though, I do feel like Enterprise isn't going to need nerfed because the ship feels kind of mediocre to me. Granted, I'm not an amazing CV player, so most carriers are mediocre in my hands. I don't really play them, but I will say in Kaga I was consistently outperforming the Enterprise. The biggest weakness is her uniqueness, the AP bombs. It's a cool idea, I love it, but not being able to set fires is a big nerf, and likely I would just leave the Lexington in higher standards for that reason alone. Unlike Parseval's dive bombers, you drop 3 bombs per plane, but they only hit for 2,700 damage apiece. The biggest salvos I seemed to get were 7 or 8k without the fire, and that's the big problem here when you're damage farming in this carrier. And let's face it, carriers now, they're damage farmers. That is their job after the CV rework. We have a black here, USS Black. You would say, hey, you probably should drop that, but we have AP bombs and they're not very good against destroyers. They mostly overpen for small amounts of damage, 10%, so 200 and something damage apiece. We went ahead and dropped the Kansas. That squadron's lost, so let's send up some torp bombers and we can try to deal with the black with the torp bombers. But yeah, burning through damage cons, causing perm floods, causing perm fires. This is one of the best ways a carrier can garner damage. And Enterprise to me just falls short here. Again, in my eyes. There were a few matches, this one included, where if I could have just set one fire, I could have easily taken a ship out of the game. Because again, those perm fires and perm floods are how you get damage. Speaking of which, we have an easy target here, a Kansas reversing that we're going to come in, try to catch with some torpedo bombers and see if we can't land a permanent flood. Hunting destroyers. It's something that CVs should be good at. You know, in theory, they should be good at. You should be able to kill them with your torpedoes or kill them with your bombs. Again, we talked about the AP bombs really are not very good against destroyers. The torpedoes, they're very hard to use as well because they're so slow. The torpedoes go 40 knots in the water, and it makes it very, very hard to hit destroyers. You can do it, don't get me wrong. It's better if the enemy DD captain is completely oblivious. But if they're not and they're paying attention, it is hard. You can cross drop them, I've done it, but again, it's difficult to kill them on your own. And you know, since the CV rework, you're going to have a hard time dealing with the destroyers. You can't just hover over them and let your teammates kill them like you could previously. And the same for stealthy cruisers. You're going to have to do all of that damage farming, all of that killing on your own, since you're probably going to be the only one spawning them. So in my eyes, Enterprise is not the best damage farmer. And speaking of damage farming, we're doing a decent job right now because of the permanent flood on the Kansas. This is a bad drop on Massa, but again, he's turning in broad to our battleship, so it's fine, I'll go with it. Whether he was doing it to get away from my AP bombs or not, doesn't matter. He already completed his turn. He didn't get smacked by our battleship. But the thing is, he's heading right for us, so we do need to focus him down. We have our torp bombers now, and Massa is a slow enough battleship that even I should be able to hit him with the torp bombers. Let's see how it goes. Now, the torps do hit pretty hard when you land him, so that's great. As the enemy carrier flies right past us, we'll drop some planes, and I think we get a decent amount of planes shot down in this one. But let's go ahead and line up our torp strike on the Massachusetts and see if we can't slow this guy down from pushing this flank. Now, because of this, carriers are still decent team playing ships and decent utility ships. If teammates are paying attention to the mini-map, you can still help your team by spotting. But a lot of players just don't pay attention to the mini-map. Enemy players, though, I do feel like you can affect them with your squadrons. I call it the puppet master effect. Some players hate carriers so much, they will do anything not to take any damage from your torp bombers or your dive bombers, and they will turn willy-nilly, flat broadside to your friendly teammates, or in some cases just make them accelerate or do something stupid and sail out in front of people. I've seen it happen a couple times here on update day. So yeah, never take the puppet master effect for granted. All right, Massa turned in, that's great, so I am safe from him now. And let's see if we can't drop him. Never mind, he's dead. All right, so the Kansas, that's going to be our target. One good thing about these Enterprise squadrons is you have a pretty big range. I don't think I found myself ever running out of range, ever. Usually the squadrons were either shot down or I just ran out of ordnance. I don't think I ever ran out of range, so that is one good part of this ship. Let's see if we can get some citadels on the Kansas. We'll aim a little bit forward. How'd we do? 2 citadels, so not bad. It's going to depend on what battleship or what ship you're dropping, whether or not your AP bombs pin the deck, and I don't have those thresholds for you. I do apologize. I find myself being a little more casual as of late. I'll just test it out. You know, I drop this ship, and if it seems to work, cool, it works, and I'll drop them again in the future. But I think you're going to do okay against German battleships, battle cruisers. They have usually pretty light deck armor. Some American battleships I think you're going to do fine against. So yeah, you'll have to pick your targets and find out which ones the AP bombs will work good against. One thing they are really good against, cruisers. Most cruisers don't have the deck armor to stand up against these AP bombs, and so Enterprise is a pretty good cruiser killer. So Kansas is a slow battleship. Once again, let's see if we can line up these pretty slow torpedoes. In a perfect world, I would try to catch him on the nose away from his torpedo bulge protection so that we could set a permanent flood. Looks like he's turning in a little bit here. Let's swing back around and see if we can catch him with the cross drop. 2 of those torps look good. And yeah, one of them on the nose for a perm flood. Kansas AA is pretty decent though, so I don't know that we're going to get the full second drop off here. This game is pretty balanced, which I dig. Not all of the games on update day have been that balanced. There's been a lot of one-sidedness going on. We did get the second drop. If we could get the perm flood here, it would be huge. Did we get it? The torpedoes are super slow. We'll find out in a few minutes. We got a hit. No flood though. That is very unfortunate. And here is one of the times where I could easily fly back over this guy with an HE bomber squadron and set a permanent fire or a double fire. Easy, easy, easy. He can't get away from me. He's a Kansas. But we're coming in with AP bombs. So here in action is the handicap of the Enterprise in my eyes. Sure, we can get a couple Citadel hits, but it's nothing compared to the ticking damage of a permanent fire. On the subject of the CV rework, my biggest complaint was plane restoration times. I felt like you could just endlessly spam planes, and it didn't matter about enemy anti-aircraft because you're never going to run out of squadrons. Now that is not the case now, and definitely not the case for Enterprise, as I fly through 12 ships and drop the Parseval really for not much damage at all. But no, you can definitely get deplaned. You can see here our squadrons are pretty low. Now, if you have half a brain, which, like me, I have barely half a brain, do a couple pre-drops and, be a little more selective in the ships that you're attacking. Don't attack large groups of enemies, you're going to be fine. But still, in the CB rework, plane restoration times were silly. Now, they've been nerfed a little bit, so I'm curious to see how that will turn out. So far, I don't really want to make any comments on it. It feels a little more balanced. It's not near as egregious as it were before. But yeah, I'm going to hold my comments, play through the rest of the update week, and maybe talk about it with the Louisiana video, or what is that other ship we got? The Vallejo, the new Tier 8 San Diego, I suppose. Anyways, yeah, we'll talk about it more later on in the week. Now, the Enterprise, whether or not this is the most powerful ship or not, the most powerful Tier 7 carrier or not, I think because of its historical significance, this is a freaking cool ship. Americans feel a special way about USS Enterprise. There is some serious national pride around this one. Yeah, I know, it's just a digital boat game. I get it. But this was the GOAT, baby. The most decorated ship of the entire Second World War. The only surviving U.S. carrier at one point in this Pacific, and it's kind of how she got the nickname, the Gray Ghost. The Japanese had claimed to have sunk her a few different times, and she always showed back up, ready for action. When I was younger, there was a really cool show on the History Channel, before Ice Road Truckers, before Pawn Stars, and the rest of that garbage made the History Channel unwatchable. It was called Battle 360. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched it. If you did, leave a comment down below and show me how old you are. But there was a really cool episode on the USS Enterprise, and it's probably on YouTube. I'd recommend going and watching it. It is cool to learn the history of this ship. It's probably like the HMS Hood for the Brits. What else we got? Anyone else? How about this? The Haida for the Canadians. Any other ship that really brings up national pride for you? Yeah, leave it in the comment section down below. But the Enterprise is a very special ship for the Americans. So even if she's not that great or the best carrier at Tier 7, in my eyes, she is the freaking coolest, and I do like her. This game's really coming to an end. There's just a carrier reversing to the back of the map, and I won't make you guys watch that. Decent result for this one, and I'm definitely having some fun with this ship. Let me know what you guys think of her in the comment section down below, and enjoy your update week. This is Derka signing off. Catch you in the next one. See ya.